Hi. Today I'm going to tell you a little bit about guitars. Guitars are one of the most common instruments used today. You can't hear any song on the radio without it having some kind of guitar part, and guitars have a long history. Today I'll talk to you about the history, the parts, and the technique of how to use and to play a guitar. I'm also going to talk to you a little bit about the differences between classical and acoustic guitar. First of all, the history of guitar. The guitar actually, the roots of guitar are differing in controversy. A lot of people have different ideas of when the guitar actually first started, but the first instrument that actually looked like a guitar, like this, was in Spain in the 16th century. However, a guitar wasn't actually a very popular instrument when it first was invented. It was a very rare instrument, and it wasn't actually until it was made popular in Italy, which I think is very interesting because it was Spanish guitar and the style of Spanish guitar playing that became popular in Italy. And that's the roots of guitar. Like I said today, nothing can surpass the guitar in terms of popularity. And if you want to know a little about it, hopefully this is a good place to start. First of all, the parts of the guitar. You have the neck, which is this whole part right here, and that has the headstock. The headstock is right above the fretboard, right here. The headstock is where all the tops of the strings are tuned in to get it to the perfect note. By the tension of the string, the guitar is tuned to E, and so on down the regular standard tuning of a guitar. These are the nuts, like regular nuts and bolts. They just simply allow the tuning key to put pressure on the strings, and on that fretboard it's made. And that's the next part of the neck, is the fretboard. The fretboard is how you play all the different notes. And each string, you can walk up the notes. The fretboard is something that not every guitar actually has. Frets, there's fretless guitars, and for those you have to memorize exactly where the note is, because if you play it in a different place, it'll be a little off tune. But right on that fretboard is the perfect place to hold the string down so that the right note will be played. This guitar, obviously, and most guitars have a fretboard. It makes it really easy. You don't have to remember where the note is. If you press it down anywhere in that area, it'll allow that tension to build right at that fret, which is that little metal thing. And that'll basically shorten the string to be the right tension for the note that you want to play. Alright, then there of course is the body. The body of the guitar in an acoustic guitar is hollowed out so that the sound can echo and make it louder. In a electric guitar, that's done electronically, and there usually is no hollow part of an electric guitar. Then you have the sound hole that allows all that sound to enter in and come out of that hollow body. And the saddle is the part in which the string is anchored in on the other end to allow for that tension. All the guitar strings is all about tension of the strings to allow it to sound with that high sound. If you ever twang a string that's loose, it'll be a very low sound. And if you get just the right tension, it allows for those notes to be played. The bridge is that marker for the saddle hole to allow it to hold that tension in place there. And then of course you have the strings. The difference between a classical guitar, which is the guitar I'm holding right now, and the acoustic guitar is that first of all the strings are different. Most classical guitars are made with nylon strings, which are a softer bass than the harder steel strings that are used with electric or acoustic guitars. They also have a wider neck. This is because the style of playing in the classical guitar is usually more about the specific notes, like solo guitar, in where you want to have as much control as you can over playing specific strings. Whereas acoustics, the general style is chord playing, which I'm going to get into a little bit later. Those are mainly the main two differences. Also, the body is smaller. To highlight some of the differences, I also have a acoustic guitar here. You can see that the neck is much more narrow. If you press against the strings, you'll notice, because you'll get marks in your finger right away, that the strings are much harder, and obviously the body is bigger. That also allows for both the nylon strings and the smaller body allows for more of a mellow sound versus, and that mellow sound is what a lot of classical guitarists like when they play. Now, how to play. Two-handed guitar, you play with your left, if you're right-handed, with your left hand, you hold down on the fretboard for the specific notes, like in a scale, where you'd be, say, if I'm playing a C scale, oops, messed up the C scale, there you go. Or to hold down a chord. Now, a chord is notes in a key, the same key that play in a chord. That's actually the root of the word chord. It comes from the word accord, and where songs that, for instance, sound good in a specific chord, like the songs in, like the chord in A, the A chord, or the G chord. Now, obviously, if you just hold it down, you don't make any sound. That's where the right hand comes in. And the different techniques for playing are individual notes in which you pluck the string, or strumming, which people have different strumming patterns that are based on a 4-beat most of the time. And they simply strum along to those different chords. Then, of course, there's also picking patterns, which is very common with classical guitar playing, in which they pick the strings in a similar pattern with the same kind of 4-pattern beat most of the time, and but they instead do individual strings. And combining that is how we get flamenco guitar, which is one of the styles of Spanish guitar that actually that originated the popularity of the guitar, and where they combine the patterns with the strumming. And that's just a little information about the different parts and how to play the guitar. It's an instrument that's easy to pick up, and no matter where you start, you can start with just learning the chords and the fundamentals. The next thing you know, you can be a true guitarist and make wonderful music. Let's enjoy.
Oh, so interesting.